and let's see it.
President Jim Lee told New York Comic-Con he's not worried about Superman entering public domain because only DC truly understands the Man of Steel. Anyone else writing him, just fanfic. Does anybody remember this story from 2022? Superman tells his son he can hear children dying across the galaxy and does nothing. That's not fanfic. That's an official DC story Jim Lee approved as chief creative officer. And it gets worse. For years, he's greenlit stories that systematically dismantle everything that Superman actually stands for. The man lecturing everyone about understanding Superman has spent his entire DC career proving he doesn't understand much of anything about Clark Kent. Now, I do want to give a big shout out right here to the sponsor of today's video in the channel, the 616 Comics, the #1 producer retailer in the entire industry, the best exclusive covers that you will find in this industry. Go to their website or the app, and there's a discount code in the video description. So let's talk about Superman under Jim Lee and why the guy throwing stones lives in the biggest glass house in all of comics. In Action Comics 900, released in April of 2011, writer David S. Goyer delivered one of the most controversial Superman stories of all times. Titled The Incident, Superman travels to Tehran to stand with protesters during the Green Revolution. After spending 24 hours in Azadi Square, he returns to the United States and announces to the president's national security advisor that he intends to renounce his U.S. citizenship at the United Nations. He declares that while he was raised in Kansas with American values, he wants to be a hero for the entire world, not just one nation, which really does fly in the face of everything that Superman had stood for over 6 decades at that point. A refugee arriving on Earth as a child, adopted by and raised by the Kents with traditional American Midwestern values. A superhero that fought for truth, justice, and the American way.
Okay, I just want to add that Superman, although he does fight for the whole world, he doesn't need to go out and say, I'm not gonna be an American anymore. That's stupid.
Exactly. That's
That's
one of those
stupid.
stories that was greenlit during Jim Lee.
I'm disappointed by David S. Goyer, honestly. He's very hit and miss.
He's very hit and miss, really, because I mean, he has some great movies like, Man of Steel, but he also hasn't not so great things.
Yeah, why don't he do that? I just don't get it. Like, Superman doesn't need to say this so he can be a global superhero. He can just be a global superhero.
Yeah,
That is American. It's good. It's fine.
Exactly, and he saved the world from different type of threats many times. Even cosmic threats.
Yeah, I mean,
It's for
basically,
the
if he
whole
saves
world, yeah.
America, he will save the whole world because most of the threats that he's dealing with will eventually affect the whole world, no matter if they dropped in
exactly,
America or
yeah.
not. So this is just ridiculous. This is like spitting on your own upbringing, literally, where you're actually coming from where you're born and raised. And yeah, this is absolutely very uncalled for.
He would never do that. And by the way, Captain America also did something like that back in the 70s, when he was so disappointed from the government that he decided, here is my uniform, here is my shield, and he became a character called Nomad because he had no home.
That's so dumb.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody took his home away.
No,
He just decided that he doesn't have a home anymore. What a loser.
yeah. Anyway.
But as soon as the American way or being allowed to be patriotic or proud of your country went out of style, they just started grabbing these pieces of what had always been core components of Superman and try to rip them off whole cloth. And of course he has to give up his U.S. citizenship. He's got to be a hero for the entire world, as if Superman hadn't been a worldwide icon the entire time. It's not like Superman said, you know what, I can't help those people. They're not American. That wasn't the American way, and that's what he idealized. And Superman abandoning his U.S. citizenship to make a political point at the United Nations was on its face laughable, but these are kind of creative decisions that continue to fester under Jim Lee at DC Comics, especially when it comes to the Superman character. In Superman 18, released in October of 2019, writer Brian Michael Bendis had Superman reveal his secret identity to the entire world. Superman holds a press conference and publicly announces that he is Clark Kent, a reporter for the Daily Planet. Bendis explained that the decision came from Superman's frustration with living a double life and his belief that transparency would allow him to be a more effective hero, fundamentally changing the 80-year dynamics of Superman's world and ignoring all the reasons Superman needs a secret identity. When you look at the Superman mythos, there are definitely different faces or sides of the character. You have Clark Kent, loving son, grew up on a farm with traditional Midwestern values by Ma and Pa Kent, that enjoys life, that enjoys a date with Lois, that enjoys getting to raise his son. You have Superman, who is compelled to go out there and do good for all of humanity and save people essentially on a daily basis. And then you have Kal-El, which is a little bit different, that isn't always addressed, but he has these different facets to him that made him a compelling, complex character. It is an integral part of the character just with the storytelling in the mythos. Not only that, the foundational elements of Superman and the way that he interacts as Superman and Clark Kent, the idea that Superman can freely give away his private persona, Clark Kent, without putting Lois Lane, Perry White, John Kent, Jimmy Olsen, Ma and Pa Kent, and anybody else out there that he loves as a friend, family, or whatever. As soon as Lex Luthor and all the other villains in the DC Comics universe, like Joker, know that Superman is Clark Kent, the easiest way to attack Superman is to go after the people that aren't superpowered, but he has an emotional relationship or attachment to. But having that Clark Kent identity allowed him to experience the world without the world knowing that he was Superman. This is why it's so difficult for characters to come out with their private persona and actually have it work in comic books. Now, they try it all the time. They tried it with Spider-Man. They do it with Iron Man a little bit more successfully. They certainly do it with the Fantastic Four. But for most characters, especially like a Superman who's dealing with beings on a cosmic level a lot of times, and certainly the worst of the worst when it comes to villainy within the DC Comics universe, he absolutely needs a private identity just to keep the people around him safe. For some reason, Brian Michael Bendis didn't understand this, and Jim Lee greenlit it, which is absolutely folly on his part. Of course, they've already undone it because it was an absolutely stupid move, but they never should have done it to begin with. They broke Clark's connection to humanity because now everybody knows when you're talking to Clark Kent, you're talking to Superman. In Superman Red and Blue #1, released in March.
Yeah, Brian Michael Bendis doesn't understand a lot of things. Actually, that's not the
Yeah.
first time he is doing a bull crap.
Do you want to comment on that crap?
Just to say that they have done absolutely the same thing with Spider-Man during the Civil War comic book, who decided then to take the side of Iron Man and get a PROD registration and unmask heroes, and he unmasked himself on a big convention, just like Superman. He takes off his hat and says, my name is Peter Parker and I've been Spider-Man since I was 15. It's absolutely the same thing.
It is such a cringe.
And then Jane Jonah Jameson got a heart attack or something. Guess what happened after that? Everybody knew. Everybody started attacking who? His closest people, of course.
Yeah.
And what happened after that? Well, they rebooted it, and
How did that happen? I never would have guessed.
Yeah,
never would have
exactly.
guessed.
And again, in the animated series Superman, we see why Quark and Superman needs to be the two different things. There is that great episode called Late Mr. Kent, in which allegedly Quark dies. And Superman is wondering what to do, and he says to his parents, but I have to be Quark, otherwise if I have to be Superman all the time, I'll get crazy. I need my personal life. And then they established that connection. We had it in our video about why this Superman is the best Superman, actually. So go and check it out, guys.
Yeah.
Let's see the next book.
Let's continue. I mean, what is this humiliation here?
Oh, just wait
my
and see
god.
it.
Oh my god.
Don't worry.
2021, writer John Ridley delivered a story titled The Special that depicted Superman being tortured while held captive. The story shows Superman restrained and subjected to prolonged abuse by his captors, with dialogue and visual implications suggesting sexual assault. When Superman is finally rescued, he struggles with the aftermath of his trauma and questions why no one came to save him sooner.
Excuse me, what?
Yeah. That's a real thing right there.
How can this be?
I don't remember what they have done so that they can do it.
I mean, like, what?
Yeah.
How can they do such a thing to Superman?
I don't remember. Was it kryptonite used or something like that? But yeah, asking want to say hey oh yeah.
But that is like what James Gunn would do.
Exactly. This shows how people like him, you know, the left-minded people, because I'm sure that this writer is exactly like that. Otherwise, why would he write that? How they think exactly the same way. How unhinged and crazy they are.
Yeah, how
Because
can you do
why
this?
would you write that? And
That's evil,
since
man.
when we begin that to think like everything must be edgy, and you know, for if we make it rated R, that makes it better. But how can kids read things like that and actually understand the heroes if you make such a bullcrap? Why always with the rated R and the adult things? And we talked about that
I'm still shocked here. I'm
Mr.
sorry.
Miracle animated show that they're going to, and it's again a freaking adult animation about Mr. Miracle.
No,
Why do we need that anyway?
the
We're
fact
going to
that
see stupid things.
if the fact that we are adults doesn't mean that we want to see, degenerate bad things, and we definitely don't want to see anything bad
Yeah,
happen to freaking Superman.
I don't think.
Sexual things, they never should be even spoken
Yeah,
in
yeah,
passing, let alone
exactly.
happen to like.
Mhm.
This is one of the worst things that it can happen to a human being in
And
the
again,
history of
who
anything.
greenlit this? Jim Lee.
Whoever is
You know,
sick in the head,
yeah.
that's who.
I have no idea how Jim Lee read this and said, okay, print it. Just print it. You
Just
know,
print it. Yeah,
just
I
print it.
totally
Yeah.
want to see
Okay.
Superman degraded and aped by
Which
some guys.
again
Wow.
makes those things worse than fan fiction. I'm sure that fans can write actually way better stuff with Superman. Like for example, we can.
Of course. And
Yeah.
I mean, notice how his face is drawn, like right here.
Yeah.
He looks like an ordinary guy, like a schmuck. Like, this is not the feature of a masculine, beautiful man. Like, what is that? It's horrible. Okay, I'm gonna continue because we don't have a lot of time. I am seeing your comments, guys. Just gonna read them after.
They defended the story as social commentary, explaining that it was meant to reflect how marginalized people in America often feel abandoned when they experience violence, and that even someone as powerful as Superman could be victimized. So DC Comics under Jim Lee as
How?
But how? But how can he be victimized?
Back to our
How?
previous Batman point. Don't use freaking our heroes to showcase your degeneracy, left-leaning, whatever ideology.
Social
Don't.
commentary. Just write the freaking comic book. Do your social commentary in a website or write a book about it or something else, but leave the heroes alone.
There's nothing more disgusting than using a hero or universe, whatever, as your doormat so you can surf on this doormat your freaking shit that you just popped out of your ass.
Exactly.
That's exactly what's happening here. Excuse my language, but this is exactly what it is.
It's
I mean,
exactly that. It's
we
shit, yeah.
have shit, we want to
Yeah.
poop it out, we're gonna do it on your doormat and just
Exactly.
put it in your face after
And
that. That's how
we
it
also
is.
set it on fire so that you can
Sit on it
step
better.
on it and
No, I can't
Jesus
even.
Christ.
I can't even. No, really, this is against Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
If we have to be like completely blunt, honest, and
Yeah.
cover
I
all
mean,
the
Jim
things.
Lee, I love you as an artist, but really as executive decision maker,
You're leftist psychopath.
just yeah.
That's a psychopathic thing
Absolutely,
to do.
absolutely.
Especially to someone that's so pure as Superman, to show that heroes can be victimized. Oh my gosh, darn it. You can write
You
anything
know-
in the world. That doesn't mean that you have to write the degeneracy and disrespect our hero, the comic books, his legacy, his fans.
Totally, yeah.
Everything that he stands for is supposed to be.
And that's what happens when you decide to make social commentary with those heroes. You know, one of the few things that I agree with Todd McFarlane.
Wow, that's one. There's a one
It's only
thing.
one.
It's one.
Okay, maybe two. One of the things that I agree with him is when he was telling the story how he created Image comic books, with the other comic book artists to combine it, and everybody keeps their creations for themselves, right? And Jim Lee was one of those guys. He was the biggest rock star of Marvel at that time.
Biggest dickus.
Biggest dickus, exactly. With his X-Men, the way he was drawing it, and the best-selling comic book, and then he got over to Todd along with some of the others, and Todd said, but Jim didn't quite well work with all of us, and the fact that you are kind of your own thing. You keep the things for yourself. You can do whatever you want. He was always he was feeling more comfortable in a corporate side of the things. That's why he came back to Marvel and DC after that. So, yeah.
Yeah, you see that he
We
is
see
just,
that, yeah.
he is just a robot, I guess.
Yeah.
One of its creative leaders greenlit a story where Superman is depowered, tortured, and sexually assaulted so John Ridley could make social commentary about marginalized communities in America. Is that a part of what Superman even represents? No, it's not. Not really. And certainly John Ridley knows that. Certainly John Ridley hates what Superman actually represents. And if you go read his Secret History of the DC Universe, which basically plays out the DC history, but from the perspective of marginalized heroes, in this case, Black Lightning, when Black Lightning, in that story written by John Ridley, describes Superman, you would think that he was Max Schmeling. That is the way that John Ridley uses his character to describe the foundational character of the entire DC Comics universe. That came out before this. Jim Lee knew exactly how John Ridley felt about Superman and still put him on this book. And of course, Superman is the ultimate defender who faces evil head on. What does Superman do after he's rescued or released and gets his power back? Does he go back to the place where he was assaulted and abused and tortured? No, he decides that he's over it and just has a face-to-face meeting and does nothing about it. But that's what they've reduced Superman to. Social commentary for hacks like John Ridley, who actively despise the character of Superman. Go read the New History of the DC Universe #1. You will see exactly what I'm talking about. In Superman Son of Kal-El #2, released in August of 2021, writer Tom Taylor had Clark Kent admit to his son, John, that he deliberately holds back from solving Earth's problems. Standing on the moon, looking at Earth, John chastises his father for not fixing climate change and a host of other progressive issues, ignoring the fact that his father has saved the world countless times. When John asks Clark why he doesn't do more, Superman responds that he holds back because I wasn't born here. I can help, but I can't lead, except by example. Part of me feels it's not my place. This contradicts essentially the entirety of Superman's history in DC Comics. He has been a leader essentially from day one. He's always out there on the front lines trying to help humanity live a better way. In fact, he has been the leader of the Justice League numerous times, decades at a time. He's one of the few characters in all of comic books that when he goes in front of the UN and delivers a speech, it doesn't feel out of place because that's what he is. He is a born leader. He has invested in humanity. He has invested in America. He has invested in us and is out there trying to lead. The idea that Superman has just been sitting in the background the entire time, not wanting to mess around too much because he just feels a little out of place, just tells you how much people like Tom Taylor and Jim Lee do not get this character whatsoever. And of course, it's really just there so John Kent can say, Superman, you weren't good enough. You should have solved climate change, the wage gap in India, and whatever stupid bullshit nonsense doesn't make sense in this fucking universe. It overlooks and contradicts the hundreds or thousands of other times that Superman has literally saved the entire universe, let alone the Earth. Because a lot of the time, under Jim Lee's leadership, they prioritize contemporary thematic explorations over actual canon and history of their characters. In Dark Crisis Worlds Without a Justice League, Superman #1, released in July of 2022, writer Tom King depicted Clark admitting to his 14-year-old son John that he regularly hears children screaming for help across the universe and does nothing about it. When John wakes up crying after hearing voices of dying children, Clark reveals it happens not every day, but once in a while, and it's horrible, and tells John there's nothing we can do. John, confused, responds, but you're Superman and I'm Superboy. We save people, it's what we have to do. The story explicitly shows Superman choosing to ignore mass murder in the galaxy because he's afraid of the consequences, turning a blind eye to suffering he has the power to stop. The idea.
Just to remind you guys, that was written by Tom King, the guy who James Gunn really likes, and he decided to adapt his stupid comic book written literally last year or 2 years ago, Woman of Tomorrow, in which she's drunk and she flies around space and stuff like that to find herself, and he decided to this is the story he's going to adapt because he likes Tom King. Again, those crazy guys are totally the same. You know, this is where James Gunn probably read exactly that and say, but by George, he decided to ignore that and does nothing. My Superman is going to ignore it too and just going to sit down while the freaking city is destroyed and take off his boots and be, well, there's nothing we can do, boys. Give me my soy milk now.
George, I have a
so
great
yeah.
question.
So yeah.
So Superman, let me get this straight.
Yeah.
Superman is willing to like massive genocide. You know, I don't want to say the word.
Totally.
Just continue, and
Yeah.
children dying in
Yeah.
pain, and
Yeah.
absolutely animals as well. So because he's afraid of the
Of the consequences.
How
Yeah.
about the consequences of brutally murdering someone? Is that not consequences enough
Yeah.
for you, you
What
stupid
kind
little...
of example is this Superman giving to his son, who is really Superboy, and he told him, but you're Superman, I'm super... What kind of an example are you setting for that? What kind of example you're setting for everybody else? You know,
He's
useless. Really,
He doesn't
a
have a
useless one.
purpose.
Yeah, a useless one.
Why do you need Superman?
That's
It's
what
gonna be a shit stain.
that's what Tom King likes doing. That's literally his shtick to take the guy or the girl and whatever, and to decide now we're going to put it backwards like that, and we're going to be the total opposite of the character, just the total opposite, guys, for shits and giggles, because I'm a great writer. You know, I'm Tom freaking King.
Subvert expectations.
Hell no.
Amazing.
And my Superman is going to be like that because, oh, look at the drama. He can hear it, but he chose to ignore it.
Oh yes, all the
And
heroes
then
in the
we
world
ask,
do
and
that,
then we
right?
ask Tom King, how many freaking Superman comic book have you read before you become a writer? You know, or the other guy who decided, but he's not the leader. Not going to do anything. Just going to stay over here at the moon, watching, and you know, I can't do nothing about it. I wasn't born here. Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ, man.
Long time ago, that's 80 years of history. He accepted Earth that his one and only home. He would never step foot on Krypton. Why would he accept? He knows that that's where he comes from.
God.
I mean, just like, doesn't the war guys know this, that if you actually, let's say, your heritage is from another country, but you never step foot on that country and you're born in the other country, that's where your home is? That's where your home is? You know? To quote the Tick in one of the episodes, I don't want Deer to get destroyed. That's where I keep all my stuff.
Okay, that's great.
Right?
But in Man of Steel, that people again don't understand, I think that's not Superman. He literally destroyed the eggs and the last chance of Krypton to be rebuilt. He destroyed that. He said Krypton had its chance, and then proceed to heat vision everything.
Exactly.
Because Superman is objective.
Yasto, he doesn't need a slap, he needs a vinkel. You know, that guy sits like a crowbar or something.
Okay. Guys, it's midnight. It's midnight, and we really gotta go. We just suggest you watch that video fully, because we can't be here until like later than that. This is crazy.
He does give great examples about it. I think that's actually the last one. Then he starts off other things.
Yeah, watch this video to the fullest extent. I posted down below.
Exactly, Yasto. I see that soy man, and I just want to scream, Udri! Hit it, yes.
Udri,
hey, Tommy.
Eat it.
Hey, Tommy.
And
Tommy is here.
Yeah,
yes.
good night, Tommy.
Yes.
And hi to Blue Wing, right where we were supposed to end. Get shit off my screen. Exactly. He's
Wait.
talking about us, not the Superman slob.
Exactly. Okay. Good.
Okay,
So go away now.
so you like your Superman slob? Well,
Nice,
great.
nice. Read about the soy man and the guy
How
who
Superman was
is
aped,
not a leader.
if you
'Cause-
want.
Yeah. Read about the Superman who is not a leader because you also apparently not able to be a
He's
leader.
not even a man,
And,
let alone qualified to be Superman.
let alone super. Yes.
And that's Ghibli for you. He's just an idiot.
Yes.
Oh, okay, guys. So that is going to be it.
For the imperium must not fail. Imperium we prevail. The warriors march with sacred might. Their purpose burning crystal bright. To lift the throne world from its plight and guard humanity's light.